I can manage on the floor. It's okay. You don't have to sleep on the floor. Jungkook looked at him, his eyes softening. Are you sure? He asked, an evidence in his voice. I can sleep on the floor, if it makes you more comfortable. They hesitated for a moment, but then shook his head. No, it's alright. We are married now, and we should stay at the bed, like in husband and wife. Jungkook nodded. A smile was on his face. Alright then. If that's what you want, we'll share the bed. And they both settled into the bed. A strange mix of emotion would fill the air, and Jungkook, despite his internal reservation, couldn't help but feel a strange attention toward Theon. Jungkook woke up first, looked toward his left to see his wife was clinging at his arm. His hands were wrapped around him and his chest was slightly touched. He exhaled a deep breath, seeing they were so close to him. The only thing he could do right now was to admire his wife. He gently brushed a strand of his hair away from their face, marveling at that delicate feature even in his sleeping state. The realization would dawn on him, and he getting attentive, but he quickly paused, the thought for his side remaining himself. For their internal agreement, the marriage was purely a business deal, and he couldn't afford to let emotional could be judgment. He carefully, himself and Theon gaps, not wanting to wake him up. As Jungkook got ready for the day, he couldn't accept the thought that continued to linger in his mind. Maybe their marriage didn't have to be solid based on that conversation. Maybe they could find a way to make it work, build something really and meaningful out of this unexpected union. Jungkook gazed at Taekook once more before leaving the room. After some time, Taekook's eyes fluttered open. The warmth was missing. He slowly looked at his right and found Jungkook beside him, and looked at the time. 10. God, a step or for so long. Without wasting more time, he went inside the washroom to do his morning routine. They made his way downstairs, see his mother in the hall. They made the way toward her. Good morning, Umma, they wished. Feeling a little awkward, his mother-in-law smiled at him. Good morning, son. Go, eat your breakfast, she said to Tae, but Tae's eyes were searching for someone. His mother-in-law smiled and cleared his thought. Jungkook went to his office. They nodded and understand that Jungkook had already left for his work. He sat down on the table. His mind was still filled with the thoughts of their interaction last night and that unexpected emotion he had left. As they ate her breakfast, they couldn't help but wonder what the future held for them. Could they truly build something real and meaningful out of their marriage, or would it always be only a... Taekook knew that it would take time and effort for both of them to figure it out, but they were willing to give it a shot. After finishing his breakfast, they excused himself and decided to explore the house a bit. As they wandered through the different rooms, he could help but notice that absence of a personal touch and warmth. The house felt empty, almost like a showpiece rather than a house. It was clear that Jungkook had been living a lonely and isolated life. They made that lunch for Jungkook. He started preparing that ingredients, and Cook asked Tae to let them help, but he politely declined. He wanted to make it himself for his husband. After some time, he was done. His mother-in-law entered the kitchen. Where this aroma was coming from? She glanced at Taeyoung, who just smiled shyly. Amma, I made breakfast for Jungkook. Shall I go to give him in his office? You didn't need to ask my permission. Taeyoung, he's your husband. Go, but take the car with you. Taeyoung just nodded his head and asked the servant to pack the lunch while he got ready. They wore a simple yet elegant suit and grabbed that packed lunch from the servant. Taking the car keys, he made his way to the office. His heart was filled with nervousness and excitement. It was his first time visiting his office, and they wondered how would he react to see him there. As they entered the office building, they could help but notice the hustle and bustle of the place. People were rushing around, attending their tasks and meetings. They felt a bit out of the place, yet gathered his courage and asked the receptionist for Jungkook's office location, which direction. In his hand, they walked toward Jungkook's office. The corridor seemed never ending, and his heart was pounding louder with each step. Finally, he reached the door and took a deep breath before getting knocked. Come in. He heard Jungkook's voice from inside. Taeyong opened the door slowly, revealing Jungkook and sitting beside the desk with a stack of paper in front of him. He looked surprised to see him there, but managed to hide it with that professional smile. Taeyong, what are you doing here? Jungkook asked, and his eyes diverted between his and the lunchbox in his hand. I thought I could bring you lunch, they replied, trying to sound more confident. Jungkook's scenes were taking back a moment, but the future, and softly, he put the paper aside and mentioned for they to come closer. A genuine smile was formed in his lips as he realized what they had done. You didn't have to do this, he said, and his voice was filled with that appreciation that they approached his desk and placed the lunchbox in front of him. I hope you like it, they said, as his voice was filled with that sincerity. They opened the lunchbox and found a delicious spread of their favorite food inside. His eyes were wide and clearly impressed by Taeyong's cooking skill. You made this? He asked, and his voice was filled with that surprise. Yeah. Jungkook looked down for a moment. His eyes were filled with that mix of emotion. Then he nodded and toward the chair in front of their desk. I actually have a few minutes before my new meeting, he said. I would be love to have lunch with you. As they sat in their room and then of Jungkook's arrival would cure with him, they couldn't help but that on the past 2 weeks, how their relationship had gradually improved. From internally being distant and awkward around each other, they had thus started to exchange and engage in casual conversations. Bringing lunch for Jungkook had been Taeyong's idea, hoping that sharing the meal together would prove an opportunity for them to bond and get to know each other better. Surprisingly, it seems to be work. Jungkook had begun to appreciate Taeyong's effort, and then even started to discuss the topics beyond just surface level small talk. Taeyong has also noticed that gradual change in Jungkook's behavior. He appeared more comfortable around him, with a hint of a smile that had started to grace his face. Whenever that, it gave Theung a glimmer of hope that their friendship could be indeed and love. Lost of his thought, they heard the door open, and his heart was skip at speed. Jungkook entered the room, his eyes immediately widening as a shy smile flashed around his face. They felt a rush of joy within him. How's your day? They greeted him warmly and trying to hide his excitement.